You have entered the Chronic's rabbit hole, and welcome back to Storytime with ETC, episode number 9. And we have today Arjen Lucassen from Ayreon.
So excited to have Arjen on the channel for the story time. I hope you're excited to see what's up in store.
This is for all of you Ayreonauts. I'm hyperventilating over here.
I can see. Trying to calm you down with my phone.
Hey, Kyle.
Hello.
Oh, you can hear me. Good.
I can hear. Now it's coming through our headphones, so we hear you actually a little better.
Excellent.
Right on. And it is recording. I've done one of these without hitting the record button before, and that was not fun.
Not a good thing.
No, and it was with Marcella too, so that was not a good thing.
Oh, you had to redo the whole thing?
Had to redo, so maybe that's my idea, just so I could see her twice.
Marcella doesn't mind. She's the sweetest person on earth. So.
She really is, and I kind of want to start with that because she's a big reason why I got so into Ayreon at first. And
oh, cool.
As you know, Ayreon was my second band on the channel ever, and we did The Day That the World Breaks Down, which I think a lot of people do to start with you.
A lot, yeah. It's amazing. It
is amazing. And then the Ayreon
I watched them all. I'm so sick of the song, but I want to know what people think, you know. But then I have to go through 30 minutes of that song, and it's, oh my God. And then we even decided to play it live, you know, even more of The Day the World Breaks Down.
Right. Because that was the encore for your show, right?
It was. Shall we do it? No, it can't be done. No, it's too much. And at some point, come on, you know.
You have to for that.
Let's surprise the fans, you know. You can play some classics, you know, you can play Black Hole or Valley of the Queens or Dawn of a Million Souls, but we thought let's do something unexpected, and there you go.
Well, I know all the Ayreonauts were very excited about it. I have so many of them talking to me about the show that were actually there. One of my friends, Marcus, who you actually worked with about half a year ago for something, he was mentioning how awesome the staff was at all of these shows. He's visually impaired and like needs a staff to actually walk around.
Okay, cool.
And he said that your staff was just like top notch.
Oh, glad they did.
And he was there for the whole thing, and he just wanted to let you know just how amazing it was for him.
Fantastic. Well, that's why we do it there, you know. People there are so cool, and it's all still very personal, you know. If you play it in like a big hall, you won't have that, you know.
No.
So I like this. I know it's crowded. I got some complaints of people why it was way too crowded.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, we sold out.
No kidding, that's a good thing.
Concert.
yeah, it's like, okay, you know, I'm not going to complain about that. But sorry, I have COVID right now, and I'm
sorry to hear.
Heavy fever, and but it's been 4 days now, so fever is getting a bit less, but you will hear some horrible sounds emanating from me, so sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you still for making it, then. We really appreciate that. I'm like you, Arjen, and I'm really nervous before events for me, so I've been pacing back and forth waiting for this because you really do mean the world to me. You really have inspired me, and your music is it's so out there that I didn't think there was anything like that. We're from Canada, right? So like Rush is about as crazy as it gets here.
I know, yeah.
Which
Rush is crazy enough.
They are, and they're amazing. So I just
number 5, top 5 material there.
Yeah, they're top 5.
Top 10 maybe. Top 10, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty high. But
I mean, of course, there are Beatles and Floyd and Zeppelin, you know, like the bands even older, but Rush is up there for sure.
Of course. So we've been listening to you for over a year now, and you've become one of our favorite bands. The Ayreonauts, the community that you have built is unlike any other.
I know.
There's no negativity, like actually zero.
Anywhere.
I wouldn't tolerate that, you know. I've had plenty of negativity in the past in the bands, you know. And drugs and alcohol and aggression. I do not want it anymore. You know, at some point I said, that's it. I don't care if I won't ever be successful anymore. I'm not gonna work with difficult people anymore, you know, no matter how
Yeah.
good they are, no matter how famous they are. I mean, it's even when I'm asking singers, you know, and I don't like the conversation, or seriously, I had one guy, of course, I won't tell you who,
Right.
but one guy saying, "You better have a big wallet," and it was like, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Say bye.
So yeah, no. So we had we made a photo actually on the stage during one of the last show,
Right on.
and there were 100 people involved, you know, and I was just going through the photo, and they're all nice people, and you know, and I think that reflects on stage, you know, if everyone is happy and the singers come on and you see them go, yeah, you know,
man,
that's it's so important.
it's so important, and you know how to bring out the best in every single person there, and they know what role they have to play, and they're super excited to just perform for you and everyone else. And like it's unlike anything I've ever seen. We never really seen these type of projects over here, so
cool,
it's so amazing. And I want to start with some of the quotes that I've heard from you, and then I'll ask about the shows because they just happened and it's very exciting. So you said music chose me. I didn't choose music.
Oh, no.
That's amazing.
I mean, yes.
I watched the interview with the charismatic voice that you did.
I just want to say thank you so much, Arjen, for taking time to have this little
My pleasure. Really. I enjoy your show, so I'm happy to be here.
You've been one of the nicest and easiest people to correspond with from the get-go. Yes. Okay. You're wonderful.
You were saying that
she's lovely. I just got a present from her.
Oh my gosh, really? Wow. Use your singing hole.
Yeah. I'm not sure if she was at the shows or that someone gave it to her. I still have to.
Wow.
I mean, I got, like I told you in my mail, I got hundreds of emails to go through, and
you do.
So it's answering mails and then lying on bed and then answering mails and messages and apping, but it's all positive, you know. So
like you said, you want these interviews, you want the emails, you want to make sure the interactions are still happening.
I mean, that's what I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing it. So.
And you're doing.
I'm sorry, I forgot the question now. Did I?
It was really just.
Question?
I actually just brought up a quote from you. It was music chose me. I didn't choose music.
Yeah.
I guess the question I was more wondering about that was you mentioned that your family wasn't really into music growing up.
No, not really.
So I
guess had no taste at all. They played listen to the Ray Conniff singers and shit like that. So you don't even know what that is, but you don't want to know either.
No. But what's really cool about that, I think a lot of people don't realize this, is like music is like its own entity that comes and invades you and tries to get your message out. And we're so happy that you're a vessel for the music for us to hear, because you are pushing limits that we never knew were possible.
Cool.
Another quote that you really have, which is amazing, is the meaning of life is to give life meaning.
Yeah, I was proud of that one.
That's a very good philosophical thought.
I had it a long time ago, and finally I could use it in the lyrics, you know, because it made sense in the story.
Oh, what song did that go in?
It went in the. I always mix them up. You have the 5th extinction and the 6th extinction. It's one of them. I think the 6th extinction on 01011001. So
I love the names for your albums.
Yes.
But I think you know, it's not very deep actually, you know. It's very logic for me. What's the meaning of life? Why search for it, you know? Give life meaning. It's so simple, you know.
It is. What was the thing you just told our family that really helped them out?
Oh, so we have a 13-year-old, and he's been having a hard time kind of figuring out who he is and his identity and things.
Okay, yeah.
And I told him that it's not about going out and finding yourself, because then that leaves life up to fate. It's about creating the best version of yourself and taking control of life and fate and maintaining it the best way possible.
Good. Well, that's what I'm trying to say with the meaning of life is to give life meaning, for sure.
I love that. That I heard as soon as I read that, I was like, yes, this makes sense.
Yeah. And it's so simple. I mean, someone must have come up with that before me. I'm not sure someone did, but it's so logic for me that but I'd like to think that I came up with it. So
we'll give it to you. The credit's on you. Right?
Thank you.
Something that Marcus and the Aeronauts were really wondering about, and I think even some of the artists that were performing with you at the last weekend, was what's up with the rubber ducks?
It's I did all these little videos on Facebook. And I always wanted to put in something funny. Right. So I was introducing. I had a new band, Supersonic Revolution, and I was introducing the members, and I put my hand up, and then you saw a band member, and I put my hand up, and I saw a band member.
Okay.
And it was kind of boring, so I said we need to have something funny for the last one. But I put my hand up, and you expect a band member, and something really silly comes up, you know.
Yeah.
So what's the silliest thing you can come up with, you know? A rubber ducky. Yeah. So I put my hand up in this clip, and a rubber ducky came, and I was like, here is our singer, and I was like, it's very childish.
I love it.
But it's a coincidence, because then the merch company actually came with, what about rubber duckies? Maybe it's a joke. I don't know.
Right.
And the whole Ayreon team said, yeah, that's silly. And I said, yeah,
let's do it.
It's funny, but it sounds excellent. So let's go for that. Yeah.
Well,
so amazing. It makes no sense at all. There's no meaning behind it at all. Well, you got Behind the Waves, you know, which is the title of the shows, and waves, ducks, you know, it kind of makes sense. What the hell?
And even these rubber duckies have Ayreon on it too, and like
it's actually yeah, of course.
Like,
oh, I love that.
And honestly, that's one of the perfect things if you want to get it signed by the members. Like, it's a really cool thing for people to use.
And it's kind of squished.
Yeah.
It's so unique. I actually, when I heard about there being the rubber duckies, we were like, oh my god, that's so cool. That's such a fun thing to bring home from a concert or a festival, because that's a keepsake that you're going to treasure forever.
Yeah, and we probably made way too less, because I think they were gone really instantly. Fast, you know.
Yeah. Who knew we want a rubber ducky so much?
I know you're like, no way, you know, this is not gonna, well, let's take, we underestimated the whole merch. I think it was gone within 2 days. And of course, on the one side, it's, you know, but on the other side, it's damn, you know, we had this special pop-up store where the fans could come.
Yeah.
And they were lining up, and it was almost empty, you know, that was terrible. So they could still order stuff, but as usual, I underestimated the Aeronauts, and I'm very sorry.
I don't know if you're going to have to keep doing that, because we want more. And is it always your plan to perform in the Netherlands? Is it just because there's so many people? Is it just so much easier to go into one location normally? Or is it just too hard to go across seas or anything like that?
Millions of reasons.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are 100 people involved in this. You cannot tour.
No.
That would be massive.
All these singers have their own bands.
Yes, they do.
So they have to, you know, a year in advance, we have to know, will you do it, you know, because then we write them into the songs.
Right.
And then they have to decide yes or no, but they can't commit to a whole tour, you know, that's impossible. But there's millions of reasons. I am a total recluse, and I don't travel anymore. I toured the world for 15 years in the 80s and 90s.
Good for you. Yeah.
And that was it, you know. And I basically started the Ayreon project, so I wouldn't have to play live anymore. But there you go.
There you go.
But no, touring is out of the question. So like 0%, and it kind of makes me feel a bit guilty, you know, because people have to come from 65 countries, you know, to watch this. But and that's why we want to make it special for them, you know. We want to give them a whole week with all shit to do, cinema and Ayreon restaurants and burgers and beer and the camping site and the pop-up store with shows of some of the artists. And they should just have a good time if they come all the way over, you know. And we can't control the weather, but the weather was good. So
and the weather was great. Okay, so that makes sense, because I heard in the interview that you don't tour anymore, and I was thinking that was like not performing anymore, but you just mean like traveling around the world, but you're still doing shows in your home city.
Yeah. Well, once so far it's been. The plan has been once every 2 years. So we started in 2015 with the theater production.
Right.
And then 2017, we had Ayreon Universe, which was kind of a best of.
Love it.
And then we had Ayreon Electric Castle in 2019.
Yes.
And the plan was 2021 to do this one, but for obvious reasons, we couldn't. So
yes.
It's a bit like every 2 years. So we haven't decided yet if we'll do it again in 2 years, but I mean, it was a lot for me, being a recluse, and
I bet it is.
Suddenly being among so many people and having to go on stage. I have stage fright too, and then finally the week is over and I get so sick, and it's like I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. But everybody's already talking to me. You got to, So yeah, maybe again in 2 years.
Because in 2 years, isn't that your 30th year anniversary for Ayreon?
I'm so bad at these things.
Because I think 1995 was when it was created. Ayreon.
Basically, yeah.
So that would be
I started a bit earlier because I couldn't get a deal. No one was interested, so I've been shopping with it for a year. And but yeah, I think the first album was released in 95. Yeah, you're right. It's 30th anniversary. Yeah,
goes fast, doesn't it?
Good thing you said that. Maybe we could do something.
That was just to help out the Ayreon.
Yeah, cool.
We would love to come, and like if we have a 2-year goal, that's an easy for us to come from Canada and plan that out. We'd love to support you. Also, you had a rehearsal show on Thursday, also one show on the Friday, and then 2 shows Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. No wonder you got sick.
Yeah. And I've been trying to avoid contact with people because you want to hug everyone,
Yes.
So that the first few days you come in there and there's old crew, no hugs, and hankies and stuff like that. But at some point, people come, the musicians come and the singers come from far away, and you hug. You end up hugging everyone, and then the shows are over, and there's the after party. You have a few wines and you don't give a shit anymore.
Yes,
that's probably
where it happens.
It was the same last time in 2019.
Really, eh?
Yeah, because I remember because we had the interview for the behind the scenes like 2 weeks later, and
cool.
Sounded like I sound now.
Wow. Well, hey, thank you for still making it through, especially knowing that you potentially get sick after these shows. And that's a lot to jam pack in one weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys managed to do that, but that means there was so much preparation and that your team is like an all-star team. So I don't know any other way it could be. Also, during the rehearsals, Marcus was telling me everything went super smooth and you only needed to redo one song. Do you remember what song was?
It was Beneath the Waves because it's so complicated. It has a very weird time signature.
Yes.
And there's a lot of singers in there and they all have to start at the right point. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. And you really have to count, Wow. So, that went wrong. It went wrong in the rehearsals in the rehearse room. I mean, of course, we've been rehearsing for half a year with the band, and we had a guide singer there, and he was also like, I don't know when to start here,
Wow. Okay.
So very complicated, and we had to redo it, and fans, they don't mind. I mean, they get the song twice.
Of course, right? That's incredible. And I know Marcus was saying on the second day, on the Saturday, that your brother actually showed up for the show.
Yeah, he was at all the shows.
He was at all the shows?
Well, he was at Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. So 3 times, yeah.
Wow. That's really cool that you still have your family coming to support you. We're really big here on our channel about family. Like, it's all about the family here. Are you a big family man? Do you have kids yourself? I know you have a partner named Lori that like works with you too.
Yeah. No kids.
No kids.
But, no. But my brother used to always tease me. Well, he was my older brother, you know, so
Right.
he was better at everything. He was more intelligent and better at school and stronger than me, of course. So he's been teasing me, you know, until I finally got taller than him. And so I'm always getting even with him now. If you check all my Ayreon albums, there will always be a line about him.
A joke about him?
Insulting him. So
oh my god, you got the upper hand now, don't you?
I know. And one is the coolest. I never thanked him. I made sure not to thank him in albums, you know.
Right.
And then I released an album. I think it was the Human Equation, and it has this line at the very end of the credits. And finally, for this album, I would like to thank my brother. And then the page ended.
No way.
So really, with the art designer, we had to make sure that they would cut at the right point, you know. And I think that was the best joke I ever made. And then during the shows, I introduced Lori because she's been working really hard on these shows. She had a lot of input in those. And I first asked the audience to cheer for her, and then I said, and my brother is sitting next to her, and I want you to boo for him, you know.
Nice.
But they didn't, you know.
No one did, no.
Three did, but they were like, nah.
That's hilarious. You also mentioned you're taller than him, and are you the tallest musician in the world right now?
Could be. I think Peter Steele was. I met him actually. I think he was a bit taller than me.
Wow.
But I think I'm next in line. Yeah.
How tall are you?
202 meters. So I'm not sure how much that is in inches.
I think you're like 6'8" or something over here, but that's very tall. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we wanted to ask you if you did have plans for your next live show, but we kind of were already talking about that every 2 years is kind of a plan or something. Now you know it's the 30th year anniversary. That might help guide it that way. Who knows?
Yeah.
But also just for people like us and the Aeronauts, did you film the actual concerts, and is there going to be a DVD coming out at all?
Oh yeah, of course we will. I mean, we put a year into this, and everything was organized perfectly. So we had to film it, you know. So basically, a whole film crew. They filmed every show for close-ups and stuff.
Okay.
But they filmed the last 2 shows on Sunday for real. So there were cameras everywhere, and there was like cameras and stuff like that. So he's already started editing. So I think maybe next week we'll already get a few songs.
That's terrific.
So yeah, that will definitely be a Blu-ray. Yeah.
Awesome.
We're very excited about that because that's how we found out about you. We went through the whole Universe concert from start to finish. We went through the whole Electric Castle and Other Tales from start to finish. We even listened. Yeah. So we have heard you. We're that invested. The Aeronauts convinced us, go dive in fully. You'll not only find out about you, but you'll find out about all these other amazing artists.
Yeah. And there's always behind the scenes on the Blu-ray.
Exactly. Can't wait.
As a Star Trek fan myself, I love that
you had
Q narrating the whole thing.
And oh man, he was such a nice guy. You can't imagine, you know. I contacted him, and his management said no, he doesn't do stuff like that. And then, you know, a day later, I got a mail from him. What? This is my rock opera. Tell me more, you know.
Really?
Yeah, he was going against the wishes of his management. And I started talking to him, and he said, tell me the story. And he wrote all his own text.
Are you serious?
And he's sailing around the world. So he was sailing for months, and during that time he wrote all the text, and he wrote way too much. So we had to
cut it a bit,
cut it here and there, edit it.
He got
and
excited.
he got really excited, and he was, he came over and oh, he was so nice. I mean, Q was here in my home,
That's insane, man.
He was like going through my collection and seeing all my Star Trek stuff, and
I love
so
that.
yeah, and he's really, and I'm still in contact with him. You would say, that guy, it was a job, your next job, but he's still, hey, Arjen, how are you doing? And what do you think of this? And
wow,
really,
well, that must have changed his life too, because like what do you call it? His agents were telling him not to do this, and he actually wanted to do this, and it became something that like he's gonna remember for the rest of his life.
A real friendship was built out of that.
Yeah,
it was a true friendship. Yeah, true, really, really good guy.
Amazing.
And his wife too, who was also in a Star Trek episode.
Oh really?
Oh really?
Yeah.
Now I have to go rewatch all of Star Trek so I can figure
out.
Oh
yes, yeah.
Big Star Trek fan right here. Yes.
Yeah. So
that's actually what convinced her to watch.
Which one is your favorite series of Star Trek? Next Generation, probably. Or
I actually really like the one with Janeway. I forget what.
Okay.
Okay. I forget what the name is of it now, but I really like Janeway.
You got Deep Space Nine, and then there's I really liked Enterprise too, and of course the original series. I mean, that's what I grew up with.
I grew up on the original series myself, so that'll always have a special place in
my heart. Yeah. And I don't like any of the new movies. I tried them, but it's really
I haven't seen any of the new movies.
And you got this Discovery shit, and I was like, what is this, But I checked out Strange New Worlds, and I liked it.
Oh, okay.
Give that one a chance. It's back to the Monster of the Week thing,
nice.
and I like the captain, and I actually liked it. Of course, there's no Data and there's no Spock, and you will, but give it a chance because I'm gonna watch season 2. So
absolutely, I will. Thank you.
You were mentioning that. You were mentioning that some of the newer stuff is harder for you to watch, and also you were saying that some of the newer music is hard for you to listen to right now.
Oh yeah.
What about the new stuff do you think they are lacking compared to, say, the golden age of your time where the art was at its peak?
Oh no, they're not lacking anything. It's me.
Okay. So it's just your
musicians
taste.
Are getting better and better, and it's amazing.
That's good.
Nice. Oh yeah, no, it's totally me. It's totally me. Being an old hippie, being stuck in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
No, the music, I watch it and it's like amazing, but I can't enjoy it anymore like I did when I was in my 20s, or in my teens especially.
Right.
But no, I keep watching new stuff, and no, there's some amazing stuff there. So it's not lacking anything. Maybe it's getting a bit too perfect now, because in the 70s it was still very experimental, and searching for the boundaries and also I've heard it all by now. If I hear a band now, it's like, okay, they got that from Led Zeppelin, they got that from Pink Floyd, and I love the original, so I will not love anything that sounds like it, because I've already heard it, and so it's purely a subjective view.
Well, I think a perfect question to kind of bring up about, I know the Beatles sparked your interest in music in the 60s, and we just finished your Electric Castle and Other Tales. And so we just actually listened to Pink Beatles and a Purple Zeppelin, which is kind of what you're like talking about, how like everything's already been done before.
It's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun and all that. Yeah. So that's freeing, but also a bit daunting that like everything kind of has been done, and maybe you'll lose some of that passion for the new music coming out and all that. So like how do you find a way to still stay motivated to make new music then? Because I know you just did Supersonic Revolution and you're focusing more on like the golden age music, but like what helps you keep trying to push your boundaries then?
It's getting harder and harder.
I bet.
Sometimes I come up with a song and I don't hear it anymore. I have this circle of trust, which are people I share everything with, and most of them are non-musicians, and that's very important for me. And I got my demos and I will send it to them. It's like 10, 15 people. And they would say, hey, you already did that, on that and that album, and we recognize those chords and we recognize those lyrics. It's like, oh, damn, you're right, because I don't hear it anymore. And
right,
especially when I listen to my old stuff, I'm like, whoa, can I ever do that again? And yeah, there's only so many chords you can play, and so many chord possessions you can make, and yeah, it's getting harder and harder. So, and of course, people will always compare what you do with the album they've heard the first time.
Very true.
The album that got them into the band, and you will never satisfy that. You will never, for them, you will never make a better album, even if it is a better album. You will never.
Well said. Yeah.
Actually, what I'm trying to do is not repeat myself. So instead of making a better album, which is just not possible, I try to make a different album. So that's why if you go through my discography, you will find that
the genres change a lot.
Yeah. Each album is a reaction to the album before. So you got this big bombastic album, that suddenly you get a smaller ambient electronic or acoustic album, and that's the way I try to do it. And of course, it's hard not to alienate your fans that way,
Yeah.
Because you know what your fans want. They want another Ayreon, they want another progressive Ayreon, they want Into Electric Castle Part 2, and But even if I would make it, it would not be as good as the first one, even if it is.
Right. No, I hear you there.
You can't fight against nostalgia when it comes to that first album that someone creates or listens to.
And I know one of your mottos is like, it's really important to change and not stay in the same frame so much. And I think that's why you've been able to drop and move to the next thing so easily, where a lot of people have a hard time once they've created something to actually move away from it. Yeah. And that's very inspiring from you, that you're still doing that even at your age now, and you're still trying to change it up. And that's really encouraging for people that get stuck in ruts, that like it's actually freeing to try to get that next thing going.
Well, my taste in music is so extremely eclectic. If you
no kidding,
go through my music collection here, you'll find everything, really stuff you wouldn't expect. Really, there's hundreds here, and so that makes it easier. If you're just stuck, I just like metal, it's not heavy enough. That there's so much cool music to discover, and maybe not for everyone. It could be that some people really only like that, but that's a shame,
It is.
There's so much talent out there that you don't want to get stuck in that one spot.
Sorry, what was it?
There's so much talent out there that you don't want to get stuck with just one genre or one artist.
No. I mean, there's certain stuff that I will never like and will never listen to,
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
But besides that, it's I like very, very, very different. It would surprise you.
Well, and what's crazy is like this channel, the reaction channel, you get a lot of requests for a lot of different things. I actually grew up as a big metalhead. I loved all the same music that you did, where Alana here grew up like classical and never really got into
music. And I didn't actually get into listening to metal or anything more progressive until this channel, because I grew up even playing, I played baritone horn in concert band as a child. So that was my whole background. So we have two very different musical backgrounds coming together into this channel.
Very cool.
So it's amazing to watch her listen to like Metallica for the first time or Pink Floyd for the first time. And it's like, oh my God, I get to experience this with someone who's doing it for the first time.
Great.
Yeah. So
I love the horn, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of my favorite instruments. I love it.
It's such a unique, beautiful sound. It was one of the favorites.
I've got it on every album,
I hear it.
Yeah.
It's so majestic.
And, 1 second, just our son's knocking there.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's cute.
Oh, you can see the baby.
Yeah.
That's Oliver. The baby's Oliver. Wow. Big guy is Avery.
There you go.
He's our babysitter.
2 seconds. I
Cool.
don't have it in here, so I have to.
We'll be right back. I hope you don't mind. We just need to get some. Baby's a little sick right now, so he's got some snot rockets. You need to like get out.
Okay.
I'm sure you understand.
I know all about snot rockets at the moment. You know, I got my hankies everywhere. It's terrible.
Wow. And could you show me your music thing? Is it right beside you, or would it be too hard to move that camera?
Yeah, it's like
wow.
It's there. And then it's too hard to.
No, that's fair. I don't want you to
and then
screw
there's
up your
that
setup.
hole, and
wow. That's incredible, man. I also just want to thank you. Like, how do you pick what interview you want to do and all that? Like, I know you're so busy and all that. So like, we really thank you for coming to us. And what makes you make a decision to do something like this? Because this is a lot of time out of your time.
Well, when I'm really being creative with a new album, I don't want to do interviews, you know, because I'm not in that mode.
Of course.
I know I will just do a bad interview then. So mostly I do my interviews in sections. And often it's also the way it's asked, you know.
Okay, not just a generic one.
Yeah, if it's like a mail, hi, this and that, you know, not even my name. It's like, hey, come on.
Yes. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So, and I always check it out, you know, what is it? And, but, yeah, basically, you know, when I'm really in interview mode after the release of the album, I would do, I would do most of them.
That's great to hear, because a lot of people, because of your shyness, kind of thought you would be hard to reach out to, but like, you're one of the easiest people to actually get in contact with. You're so nice with your response, and like, it really did mean a lot to us, because you were the big fish we were trying to get, and we didn't know how, like, a lot of the time you have self-doubt, so you don't know if you're gonna do it because we don't have enough subs or like anything like that, which is, I know, silly, but like, we're humans, right? So it means a lot to us, because this Aryan community that you've created are becoming some of my closest friends now. Like,
that's great.
Yeah, I'm a family man. We just moved, so like I've moved away from most of my normal friends. So to have this community around the world that could say you could come over here and we'd have a place for you to stay. So like you did
that's
that.
Very cool.
Like, that's how much you're making communities around the world.
Yeah, that's why I do it, really.
Yeah, and it's encouraging that you're still doing it at this age and that you're not slowing down. So good job, man.
Oh no, but it's my life, you know. I wouldn't know what to do else. I'll keep going.
You'd be making music even if you weren't successful, you said, right?
It would be harder.
It would be harder, though, yes.
It would definitely be harder, because I need that recognition, and I need
fair
those mails of people saying how much they enjoyed it, how much they changed their lives, you know.
That's good to know.
If I'd be alone in the world, I don't think I would. No, I would not make albums or make music.
Wow. Well, that's good then.
I'm not one of those musicians who says I don't give a shit what people think, and I do what I want, and which is okay too, you know.
Of course.
Which is fine. But no, if I wouldn't be successful, it would be hard. Yeah, it would be harder. I need that inspiration, even if it's only a few people. It doesn't have to be many people, you know. Maybe also that's also why I have this circle of trust, you know. And
that's so smart to have.
Yeah, people who can be honest with me. They know they can be honest with me. And of course, my brother is in there, so he. And he's more of a prog head than a metal head, you know. So it's good to have people with different tastes in music there.
Right. Yeah, and I always, like, you are humble, but it's nice to hear that, like, you can admit what you need, and like, you know, you're the best at rock metal operas. Like, that's without saying, but like, you need to have some of that pizzazz to be able to perform what you're doing, like to have that ambition and to think that far ahead. Like, you're playing chess out there, and it's incredible. So we've been reacting to you since August 31st in 2022. We've done 2 full concerts with other things, so we know a lot of your category. She joined once she saw Q, because she used to just make my thumbnails, but then those thumbnails for the Ayreon were her favorite to make because of the beautiful colors and all the amazing people.
Cool.
Yeah, just how exciting and how much energy was in like even the screenshots and in the concert itself, and just seeing everything. There was so much just love and energy in it that you could see even just through the computer screen. And so that's actually what got me to join the channel, not just to join Arjen as a band, but also to join this channel and join my fiance in this business that he's creating. So it was
fantastic.
Yeah,
it is fantastic. And I mean, it's amazing to be able to share your music and your passion with someone that you're with, and that's something that you have, which is really amazing for you with Lori there.
And totally.
How did you meet Lori? Was that through Guilt Machine or?
It was before that. Let me think. It was I had this Marcela, actually through Marcela a little bit.
Oh wow!
Because Marcela sang. Marcela won a contest. I wanted a fan on my album.
Wow, really?
I had all these big names on there, like James Labrie and Michael Akerfeld and
no way,
and Devin Townsend. You know, they were all on the album, and I wanted someone unknown to give them a chance. So I should never have asked for that, because I got like 200 or 300 recordings of people, you know, which weren't always the most brilliant. And out of all these recordings, I picked Marcela.
Good choice.
And so she came to Holland and she sang a part on the album, the Human Equation.
Right.
And it was so cool, and I believed in her so much, and I wanted to give her another chance. So then I had some songs left from Human Equation that weren't on the album. And I said, shall we do a solo album for you?
Wow.
And we started working on the songs together, and slowly this transformed into a band somehow.
Stream of Passion, right?
Stream of Passion, that's it, yeah. And we were looking for a guitar player, and I remembered at some point we had this Ayreon group. It was still way before Facebook and stuff like that.
Okay.
And there was one girl who we were talking about breaking strings, and then there was one girl who said, yeah, I broke a string just as I was recording this, and she showed it, and she was playing, and then she broke a string, but that wasn't important because her playing was like, oh
incredible.
My God.
Right.
Everything I like about guitar playing, you know.
Yeah.
So I contacted her, you know, would you be interested to do that? And she was, so she came over from the US. She's she was living in Sweden at that point.
Okay.
And we did the tour together, and at that point I was still married, you know, so there was nothing going on. We just felt good together, you know. It was always she always drove with me in the car, and I felt I could be myself. And
she speaks so highly of you. It's like you're her big brother that she's always wanted. Like
yeah. And at some point I got divorced, and I stayed friends with Lori, and she had all these good ideas, you know. So I was like, would you like to do my management, you know? And she said, yeah, I can give it a try.
Right on.
And at some point I was like, well, you know, it's better when you live in Holland, you know. I still have a place in my house, and one led to the other, and that was 16 years ago or something like that. 17 years ago. Yeah.
That's incredible, because Marcella was bringing up the fact that it's been 20 years since you helped her get onto the map. And so that's really cool that she also helped you find the love of your life as well.
Basically,
So, I mean, things work for a reason, and that's why it's really cool that we were talking to Marcella before getting to you, because she really helped, because you're reclusive and you're not the one talking so much. There's not as much things to find out about you. So that's why it was really awesome that she was pushing me to that. Yeah, he would say yes. And she was very happy when you did say yes. So,
okay, great.
Like, just thank you for that. It means a lot to us. So something I wanted to talk about is you got into guitar yourself with Japan X back in 1980. And then I believe It was Deep Purple's made in Japan, actually.
Yeah,
My bad.
right.
Did I
right,
just
yeah.
say Japan X?
You did,
Japan
yes.
X. I don't even know what that is.
I don't even know if that's a real thing.
Okay.
But Deep Purple's Made in Japan made you pick up a guitar in 1980.
Yeah.
And then
No. That was 70, 73, 74, something like that.
okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
so you were playing guitar for a while before Bodine reached out to you?
Right. Yeah. I think I started to play in 1975 when I was
1975.
15.
Okay.
15. And
Right.
I had loads of bands at that point.
Oh.
And then in the 80s, beginning of the 80s, I joined Bodine, which was actually
Bodine.
a professional band. Yeah.
Okay, so that's your like first professional band, I guess?
Yeah, I had a lot of bands before that, but it was kind of crap.
Right. What's really cool on your website, you have pictures from back then, and it was just amazing to see your transformation over the years and what you looked like back in the 80s and the 90s. And
the hair.
I always look like long
you're
hair.
A handsome man.
No way.
Yes, way. So something that I'm this is just a thought that I have, and I can be wrong here. So when Bodine told you your voice was not what they were looking for, do you think that may have added to some of your ultra awareness and nerves that happened to you before big performances?
Oh no, I knew they wouldn't like my voice.
Okay.
No,
Nice.
they had an amazing singer before me.
Right. Okay.
Actually, the guy I asked for Ayreon later, and he had this big. He was somewhere between David Coverdale and Paul Rodgers. Had this big, bluesy, beautiful voice, and there's
Nice.
no way I thought they would take me as a singer. No, it was all just a
Bring your
very
guitar.
evil ploy to bring my guitar and push my way in to be a guitar player there in the band. So it was just an evil ploy. But I remember they just started playing a song and I started singing, and I started making a melody and lyrics, and they were like,
nice.
I think it was one of the main reasons why, because I wasn't very good a guitar player at that point.
Okay.
But they heard that I could, make melody lines and vocals and shit, lyrics and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think that helped. That was one of the reasons why they said, okay, you're in the band, because I learned a lot in that band, but at some point it was too limiting for me. They weren't an adventurous band, and that's what I'm looking for in music, adventure. And they were like more like AC/DC fans, and that's not really my thing.
Right. And then with your want for that adventure and to be able to compose a bit more, that's why you then joined Vengeance in 1984 then, correct?
Right, yeah. They were young guys.
Right.
And I was from Bodine, the older guy, so I had a bit more say in Vengeance. I could
That's
do
awesome.
my thing more, take over the band. Yeah, I was an evil tyrant in those days. I was even I just, when band members would be good enough, hey, go, I want to be successful, and you're holding me back. I was terrible.
Right. Wow.
I was terrible. I had court cases and
oh wow.
People called me Hitler in magazines, who were coming out of the band.
Wow.
But
Glad you can laugh
don't,
about it now.
Well, I don't think I was unreasonable.
Right.
They just weren't good enough, or they didn't work hard enough, or they were aggressive, or they used too many drugs or whatever. And
right,
I didn't want that, and I wanted to make it. And
yeah, your standards up here, and you have to hold people accountable to there. So if they don't want to be up there, then you're trying to succeed.
Yeah. And you had to be hard, and I guess I was. So.
And that's a sign of a good leader, though, and you'll learn how to say things smarter as you grow older, I'm sure. But that's amazing.
Definitely, yeah. No, I would never treat people that way anymore,
Right.
I would be more tactical right now, and it still happens,
Yeah,
still
of
happens
course.
that I have to, tell people it's not good enough or whatever. But Like you said, yeah, I have a better way of telling them without demotivating them too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But you also push them to limits that they aren't used to going themselves, because you know exactly what they can do, and you're stretching them. So in other ways, you're also making people better too. So
Absolutely.
I like to think that, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to think
When
that. I
you
think
push
that's one of
someone-
my strengths.
It is.
Absolutely. When you push someone past what they think they're capable of, pushing that boundary helps people grow. And like with your quote there, to make life, what was that quote again?
Oh, the
So
meaning
sorry.
of life is to give
Yeah,
life
yeah,
meaning.
yeah,
The meaning of
yeah.
life is to give life meaning. It's also pushing people beyond what their comfort zone is, so that they can find more meaning in what they're doing as well. And that is what good leaders do for not just like bands, but everyone around them.
Totally, and it works. I can see it. I can almost, some singers I can almost see after I asked them, and after they
Right.
did things they would never ever do. I can hear it back in their own bands. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
wait a
Then they
minute,
took it with
maybe
them.
I've been a little bit of a help there, and they would never admit it, maybe, but
Gives your
I
heart a
notice
little
it.
bit of joy.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a great feeling when that happens.
Wow. You also said your time with the Vengeance Band was like a great, wild, and enjoyable time as well. So I'm glad that you had a really good time, because I know you wanted to transition to solo after Vengeance. And what was like the main thing that made you want to go completely solo after being with a professional band for like 8 years by that time?
Well, you say it was an enjoyable time with Vengeance. Is this wiki? I never look at wiki.
No, it says it was enjoyable from your own website.
Oh, I should have a look at that. Maybe that's maybe I was being tactical there again. No, it wasn't all enjoyable.
Right.
There was a
Okay.
lot of, like I said, there was a lot of aggression there, and there was a lot of drugs there, and alcohol, and at some point I just had enough.
Right.
I mean, I won't get into details, but it was
No,
just,
that's
I don't
fair.
want this anymore. And I think it even spoiled my pleasure to play live, and to
Really,
be in
eh?
a band. But the worst thing of bands was to make concessions, to the singer liked Iron Maiden, and the guitar player liked AC/DC, and so I had to like make songs that everyone likes, and
Right.
I couldn't do stuff that I liked. I always liked keyboards. The keyboards were in the 80s were not allowed. You
Right.
can't have keyboards. You're a sissy if you have keyboards. That was in the 80s at some point. I just wanted to do my own thing. So
Right.
then I first did a solo album, indeed, in 93, I think. But I was lost there. I didn't know what I wanted anymore. It was all over the place. It had some
Yeah.
good songs, but it wasn't really very good. And
It
then I
was a lot
thought,
of different genres, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was lost. And at some point I was like, hey, let's just, do what I always dreamed about, make a real rock opera with the best musicians I know,
Yeah.
and see what happens. And it was called The Final Experiment, and I really thought it would be, like at least I made one album where I can, if I ever have kids, where I can say, this is the album Daddy is most proud of, and
Wow.
lo and behold, there was an audience for it, which I didn't know, which no one knew, which not even the record company knew.
No kidding.
As I told you, I've been shopping with it for a year, and I 30
Yeah.
record companies turned me down.
Wow.
Those were the days of faxes, so I kept all those faxes. And in the re-release of the first album, I was a mean bastard again. Without showing the names, I put these faxes in the
Yeah.
artwork, like
that's some
we
winning
like your
tendencies,
music,
though.
but it will
Yeah.
never sell and stuff like that, and that's a good way to show new bands, that you can
Yeah.
get reactions like that, and record companies can be totally wrong. It's just a guy there with his opinion.
100%. Something I
Don't
wanted
let
to
it put
ask,
you down.
do you like video games by any chance?
No.
Because what your story about the Final Equation has a lot to do with the same story with Final Fantasy, because it was like this is going to be my last album. I'm going to go all the way in it. But then it was successful, and now you're going to keep going. So obviously it wasn't the final equation. But it also shows that that was what you're willing it to be, and that you went all out. And because of that, I think that's why everyone who didn't know it even existed wanted to hear it. Because even when we heard Ayreon for the first time, we didn't even know this existed. So we didn't know we wanted it. But then once it started happening, we're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we wanted and needed. Yeah. Thank you so much. Cool. This is the joy that we're looking for in music again.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. So how did that band that you're with, Vengeance, help you find out what you wanted to do as a solo artist? Or was it always your dream to do a rock opera?
I think so. Ever since I heard Jesus Christ Superstar back in the, I was 10 years old, I guess. It must have been 1970. It had Ian Gillan of Deep Purple as Jesus, and it was this whole story, you know, and I love to listen to the album and be in that time, you know, and read the lyrics, and it was just an extra dimension, you know. And these bands I was in, there wasn't that extra dimension. You got on stage like, and we had lyrics like. I saw a beautiful blonde and a pretty brunette. Come on, girls, let's get wet, you know. And that, yeah. If I think back now, it's like, oh my God, really? But I wanted that extra dimension. So not just music, but a story and a lot of singers on it, and you know. But when I started in the 90s, there was no market for that. It was all Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. Like that. So that's why record companies didn't dare to do it, you know. But then in Japan, there was a record company. Hey, we like it, we do it. And then it started selling. And so, yeah, it was a kind of like an invisible audience.
Wow.
No one knew about.
So Japan helps you out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was JVC in Japan who actually
took the album.
Gave me an advance. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so cool. Yeah. And when you did the final experiment, you played all of the instruments yourself except for the bass. Is that correct?
No.
I think that was for your solo album, wasn't it?
The solo album. So sorry.
Okay.
The Anthony?
It could be. I had my favorite bass player who was Peter Vink, and he was someone I always looked up to. And he was in a band called Q65, and they were heroes in the 60s, you know, and after that he had a prog band called Finch, and I got in contact with him. He actually produced the first album of my band called Mover. That was in 78 or something, so that was before Bodine even.
Wow.
So he was a hero, you know. So I learned a lot from him, and he played bass. On my solo album, indeed. I must have played some bass there myself, but he definitely played a couple of songs there. Yeah.
That's fair. So then now that we're with Ayreon, you've done 7 albums for Ayreon themselves now. That's incredible. Do you have another ambition to create another album for them?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, I'll always. I'm sorry. I think my voice is slowly going.
No worries. We'll try to keep this going a little quicker for you, okay?
Well, but no, Ayreon is my life. I mean,
amazing to hear.
I can't do too many after each other because it will take too much out of me, and also the fear of repeating myself would be there.
Right.
So I'm doing a couple of projects in between now, and I just finished a project which is actually a 30-year-old project, but more of that later. And another project with a famous singer that I'm halfway through now, which I can't talk about it. I accidentally talked about it at some point, and I got
in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the manager, not with the singer, and he was right. You know, I shouldn't talk about that stuff yet, you know, until there's it's all definite and there's a deal and stuff like that. But yeah, at some point I will definitely go back to Ayreon, and I would love to do another solo album too. I think my previous solo album Lost in a New Reel.
Right. Yeah.
That was it's probably my favorite album because it's 100% me. You know, Ayreon, I still to say like I please the fans and do something I don't like is not true. But my solo album was really like, this is 100% me, everything, and I sing everything, and
cool.
I play everything, and so I would love to do another solo album, but I always have that fear. Can I make an album that's as good as that? So I would only start working on an album if I have like 10, 20 ideas that I think are strong enough. So that's all that it depends on, you know, what kind of ideas come up. If I grab my guitar, what comes up, and that will be the next project.
Wow. There's another person in Arjen that I always see in the shows, and I know you love your keyboard, and it's Joost.
Yes.
Joost himself is such an amazing mind and producer himself. Does he help a lot with like the shows and like how that all goes down?
He helps
and, like,
with
the music
everything.
Itself? I bet he does.
He helps
wow.
with everything. I planned to. I did a tour in 2000, somewhere around 2000, with my project Star One, which is really my metal project.
That's your metal one, yeah.
And I needed a keyboard player for that, and someone said, "Well, this guy." And here came this little guy with glasses, you know, 19 years old, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing here, man? Get away!" And he was like, "Yeah, but I can do it." Without being arrogant, he said, "I can do it." So he played a little, and I was like, "Ooh," you know.
Yeah.
And still had to grow as a musician, but I totally saw like, this is the guy. And he was 19, and he did that tour.
That's crazy. 19. You love finding young talent.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, on the Ambion album, I had
that 14-year-old
girl, 14. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So and so Joost became my best friend, and he can do everything. He really developed. I mean, he's now a well-known producer as well. Big bands like Epica, Power. His Power Move is doing now, Sabaton, and all this shit. So, and he really organized this tour. I mean, I come with the ideas. I want this musician. The stage should do like this. The opening is this. The light should do that. I want lasers. That's all my thing, and he makes it a reality.
Nice.
So I'm sorry. I think my voice is.
No kidding. Do you have like 5-10 minutes left? Should we try to wrap this up for you? Yeah. Okay. No problem then. Because the main thing we were just gonna go through was a little bit of the musical history, just so everyone at least watching us can know the bands that you have been a part of in the projects, and then we can wrap this up. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, man. With the Arjen though, real quick, because it's always been so big, and at the very beginning it was called The Final Experiment, and you didn't know if you're going to be performing this live at all.
I didn't want to. I knew I didn't. Yeah.
With your next one, do you then have a different way that you're going to make Arjen because you know you're going to possibly perform it? No, it's just as extravagant as it can be.
Freeform should be limitless.
Good. That's amazing.
And you know, I would never have thought that the album we did now, that it was possible to do it live, and it was. So I think we can make it happen, whatever it will be.
Yes.
But no, I'm not gonna hold back here at all. No.
well, then I'll just bring up the bands that you've been there, and if you want to say anything other than what I kind of have written down here, you can let us know. And then, so you did Strange Hobby, which is a collection of cover songs where you intended to keep the identity of who was behind the album a secret. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool, but it was a bad idea because no one gave shit.
Nice.
Album flopped so horribly you wouldn't believe.
Oh man, that's sad to hear.
I'm sorry.
And no, it was a bad. It was the idea came from Klaatu, which was a band, and no one knew who it was, and everyone thought it was the Beatles. So it sold like crazy. And of course, it wasn't the Beatles. And I thought, hey, that's a good plan. But it totally wasn't. Totally flopped.
That's fair enough. with Ambient, Astrid van der Veen was that girl that you at 14. Right. Was that a moment because you were only going to use her for 1 or 2 songs on the album, but then you ended up using her for the majority of it? And
I wanted to make an instrumental album, yeah.
And then after that, I've noticed that you've always had amazing female vocalists. Was that one of those moments that you realized what you can do with the female vocal with your music itself?
Good question. She was exceptional. She was 14. She had never been in the studio before. I think she was really an exception. She was so highly gifted. And really, she came in the studio. So how do I sing at the microphone? And do I put headphones on? And can I hear myself? And she was totally ignorant. And her mother brought her to my studio. And she wrote the lyrics as she was going to my studio. You know, she wrote the lyrics, and the lyrics are weird, man, and they're deep. And I could never write lyrics like that. So that was really. Really an exception. Yeah.
Wow.
That's incredible. You've been with Star One, which you mentioned was your metal band, more focused on that genre. Yeah. So that's cool. You let us know Used was
basically
part of that.
That was planned as a Bruce Dickinson solo album, because Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden, he sang on my album, and he loved it so much he wanted to do a solo album with me.
Wow.
So we worked on songs, and then again I ruined it by talking about it on the internet. It was the beginning of the internet, so I didn't know how fast news would spread. News did spread, and his manager, Rod Smallwood, you know, which is like a big guy, he heard about it, me talking about it, and he didn't even know about it, and he was angry.
No kidding.
So he canceled the whole thing. So there I was with 12 songs. Wow. And it wasn't too heavy for Ayreon. I was like, what do I do with it? Well, that's how Star One was born.
Thank you for that. Stream of Passion's the next one. You wanted to do 2 things with this album: showcase the many talents of Marcella Bobbio and form a proper band for the first time in 10 years. I know you have high praises about Marcella. I think it's really cool that your goal eventually was to leave the band right off the bat. So for us, that's almost like you started a band for Marcella herself.
I wasn't even going to be in it.
Well, then there you go, right?
Around her.
Yeah.
And then I organized everything. I organized the whole tour. And then at some point, the band was saying, why don't you just come along? You know, come on, we've come this far. Why?
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll have more people coming, which sounds arrogant, but it's true. So yeah, then it was never the plan that I was going to be in the band anyway, you know.
Right,
so
I see.
Didn't really leave the band. I just
that makes sense.
Joined them for a while to get them going.
Yes.
Yes.
You give them a Kickstarter, and they just came back and performed
they
again.
Came back. Yeah,
and they're already back, and they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Another one is Guilt Machine, which is about guilt and regret, and Lori does a lot of the lyrics, or all the lyrics that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I was gonna ask what you struggle with more with guilt or regret, but like we know we're trying to help you out here to get.
No, I have that. Those would be a question for Lori.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe
who has COVID too now, and who lies shaking on the bed? So
no way. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But Guild Machine is a project that I'm especially proud of. It's a very serious project, and her lyrics are amazing, very cryptical, which I can't do. You know, I want to tell a story. I can only tell a story in plain words, and I can't be cryptical. I hate that, but she could do it, you know, and she wrote great lyrics there, and the singer was amazing. I'm so proud of that album. I listened to it a while ago, and I was like, oh my God, you know.
That's great.
But unfortunately, none of the musicians are available anymore, so there will never be a part 2. So,
well, cherish the part 1 then, I guess.
That's it. That's it.
So you also did The Gentle Storm when you teamed up with Annika, which she is an amazing singer as well. Like you've literally teamed up with some of the best artists around the world, and you should really be thankful for that. And they're thankful for you.
Totally.
And then recently you've done the Supersonic Revolution, which is about the golden age of music and how much that means to you, and giving homage to that. That makes sense. And we're also just very happy. Sorry for going over a little 5 minutes there, and would love to wrap this up and just thank you so much for giving us your time. Sorry about your sickness, but really happy about how your shows went.
One more day and I'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So you have a great rest of your nights. We got a lot planned for today because it's only 9-10 a.m. here.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So thank you for getting us bright and early today.
And one more thing. We haven't talked about Brittney yet,
Brittney.
Oh, like Brittney Slays?
Yeah, she was in this last shows. And
right, and she's our Canadian girl,
you have to be proud of her.
Unleash the Archers, right?
So amazing. Yeah, she won so many hearts here in
really,
in Holland.
Thanks for bringing that up.
And she's such I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about her.
Yeah.
No way. Wow.
She did so great, and she's so powerful, and she's one of the best in the world right now in what she does.
You got that right.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to her.
She is from Canada, so be proud of her.
Brittney
Talk to her next time.
She's from Unleash the Archers, yes?
Yeah.
Unleash the Archers. Yeah.
Isn't that from Victoria?
No, that's Spirit Box. But
okay, sorry.
But yeah, she's from our area, and she is amazing. And that was one of the first bands that we actually reacted to, was Unleash the Archers
great.
as well, because they told us to check out a Canadian band too. So
yeah, and she's such a lovely person. Maybe we'll get to talk to her.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We don't want to take up more of your time because you've already given us so much of your time, and thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, Arjen.
We hope to talk to you soon, and in 2 years, we hope that 30th anniversary happens, eh?
Yeah. Good idea. I wrote it down.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, take care.
Okay, take care. Bye. Keep up the good work.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Oh my God, that was an amazing interview. Even though he was sick, he still gave us over an hour of time there. I hope all of you guys loved all the questions that we had and all the nuggets that he was giving us. He was so kind and generous to do this even after being that sick. He's a very busy guy. He just had his show. We were able to check out about his show, his whole discography, a little about his family. He's just such a humorous guy.
He is.
Right?
He's so funny. He's so down to earth. I love talking with him because he is so easy to talk to.
So easy.
It's like having a conversation with a friend. He just gets along with, I think, with everyone almost, at least within that group. And he's just such a phenomenal human being.
Yeah, and he's so good at like veering off into rabbit holes on a topic that like are really important. Like he would kind of bring up something that was like my next question before even getting to him. So he was helping guide this conversation so much just with his natural flow. And Ayreonauts, thank you guys so much for keeping us in tune with what were going to be smart questions and all that. And you guys really did a great job. And thank you for all the insider knowledge that you gave us about all the shows. I think that really helped us kind of let them know that we are Ayreonauts here on this channel. It's not just we want to talk to the best. It's like we actually love you, and he has done so much for us. And the Ayreonauts, you guys are honestly one of the best communities that we have on this channel. You guys spread no negativity. It's all praise. Even though there's so many different artists out there, no one's saying like this guy's better than that guy or this girl's better than this girl. It's just like, look how good they're all doing and how well they
phenomenal talent that we have coming together for these phenomenal rock operas. And I never even thought to call it a rock opera until today.
Right.
And it is a rock opera and it's beautiful. And what Arjen has created is just mind-boggling because of how much creativity and beauty is in it.
Yeah, and the ambition to do something like this, especially finding out like he never meant to perform these things live. Like obviously Arjen's with a bunch of different bands, but just speaking about Ayreon itself, like it's so ambitious that it's incredible that it actually is being performed live, and to know that there's more Ayreon music coming down the rabbit hole later. He now knows it's the 30th anniversary in 2 years. that's just really cool and very exciting for the Aeronauts and for us on the channel here. So Chronicans, thank you so much for spending time with us. Again, that was episode 9. Who's going to be there for episode 10? Y'all can let us know who you want to be number 10, because that's a big deal for our podcast here. But without further ado, we are now exiting the rabbit hole, folks.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us with Storytime number 9 with Arjen Lucassen. This was phenomenal. Peace and love, everyone.
God bless.
Take care, and bye for now.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Enter the Chronicness.